Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Shri Damodara Ashtakam, explanation of verse 2. Rudantam muhurnetra yugmam mrijantam karambhoja yugmena satanka netram muhushwasakam patrirekhanka kantham stitam naumi damodaram bhakta vandyam. In verse 1, that Krishna, that naughty Kannan who stole the butter, was chased by Mother Yashoda. As Krishna, the little boy, runs, Yashoda also chases him without stopping herself. She wants to somehow punish Krishna for his mischief. Finally, she catches hold of him. As soon as Krishna is caught by Yashoda, what does he do? Does he ask for forgiveness? Does he try to run away from her even more? Does he throw a tantrum? That is what is described in the second verse. Rudantam muhurnetra yugmam mrijantam karambhoja yugmena satanka netram. As soon as he was caught by Mother Yashoda, Krishna, like any other child, starts crying. The moment a child is caught, it starts crying. Could be because of fear. Could be that it then at that moment realizes the mischief or feels, maybe if I cry, my mother will forgive me, will take pity on me and say, it's okay, and not punish me. Just like every other child, little Krishna also starts crying. Little Krishna, with lotus-like hands, starts rubbing his lotus-like eyes, pretending to cry or actually crying. Rudantam, that crying Krishna, muhurnetra yugmam, 2 eyes, mrijantam karambhoja yugmena, with his 2 hands, satanka netram, he starts rubbing his eyes. And what happens next? Muhushwasakam patrirekhanka kantham. When Krishna starts crying, his neck with 3 lines resembling that of a conch shell. Rekha, 3 lines similar to a conch shell. That neck which resembles conch shell. He is wearing a beautiful choker, a closed necklace around that neck. The necklace also starts moving this side and that side. When Yashoda takes a long rope to bind Krishna and punish him, what does he do? He does not throw a tantrum. He does not fight with her. He does not say, I never stole the butter. He simply stands there quietly, accepting the consequence of his actions. Sthitam naumi damodaram. Damodaram, that little Krishna with rope around his waist, stood there in silence. He was bound not by the rope. He was indeed bound by the love that Yashoda showered on him. An indirect devotion that was shown by Yashoda towards him. The motherly affection is what bound Krishna at that moment. Krishna did not feel, he being the Lord of the universe and Mother Yashoda being a mortal human, how could she bind Krishna? Who are you to bind me and punish me? He did not have such thoughts. He did not have any such arguments with Yashoda. Instead, he stood there in silence, accepting the consequences of his action, accepting Yashoda's punishment, accepting the fact that he will listen to her, he will accept her punishment, he will allow her to bind him by the rope. I offer my devotion-filled salutations to that Krishna, Bhakta Vandyam. He cries and rubs his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are fearful and he is breathing very quickly because of fear and because of anxiety. As Mother Yashoda binds his waist with ropes, he shivers in fright, and the pearl necklace around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, also starts moving. To that Supreme Lord Damodara, whose belly is bound by his mother's pure love, not by the rope, I offer my humble salutations. Rudantam muhurnetra yugmam rijantam karambhoja yugmena satanka netram. That crying Krishna, who with his lotus-like hands rubbed his crying lotus-like eyes, Muhushwasakam Patri Rekhanka Kantham. When he was shivering and trembling, the necklace around his neck, which resembled 3-lined conch shell, was also moving this way and that way. When Mother Yashoda was binding Krishna with a long rope, Krishna did not retaliate. Instead, he stood there in silence. Sthitam Naumi Damodaram Bhaktavandyam. He was bound by the love she had for him, the motherly affection she showered on him. I offer my salutations to that Damodara who had rope around his waist. Thus concludes the explanation of verse 2 of Sri Damodara Ashtakam. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om Tatsat. Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Jai Jai Shankara. Hara Hara Shankara.